So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of ZGN Talks. And today we will be talking about how you need to rewire your brain to achieve success, not only in business, but in life. So dopamine, I'd say dopamine is one of the big reasons why people screw up, not just in life, but also in business. And a good example that comes to my mind is trust fund babies. So for example, with us, we weren't born into a position of, being lucky when it comes to finances. We come from typical middle-class families. Obviously over time it changes, but that's what we were born into. But with a lot of trust fund babies, I'd say they don't have a lot of feeling of fear and suffering simply because, they're not constantly having to go or stick on the side of their parents having financial problems. Now, on the other hand, with us, we grew up with our family not having, let's say, the best finances. They wouldn't be able to travel whenever they want. Money would at times be tight, and we kind of grew up as kids witnessing this, right? And what that allowed us personally to do over time, the older we got, we don't go out that much. We kind of sit at home. We like, building our business. We like being on a laptop, absorbing knowledge, reading books. We really get a lot of joy out of that. While a lot of people that I know that are born into better financial positions, a lot of the time they like to go out, vacation, and they have more time to do that because their parents are able to provide them for that. And what that does over time is it really jacks up their dopamine levels.
Yeah, and pretty much what Mitch means by dopamine levels is dopamine is basically the part of your brain or the chemical in your brain that produces the pleasuring feeling. And I think you're definitely right. And essentially what we're trying to say is that if you have too much of something, it can ruin kind of your balance of that thing. So what Mitch means by the trust fund babies is these kids grow up with a lot of wells, and what happens is, when they suddenly, have to work for it, it kind of messes them all up psychologically. And I like to think of it as, it's kind of like absence of like eating or drinking water. Like if you eat food every single day, you're not going to want to have another meal. If you drink water every day, you're not going to have another drink of water. And vice versa. Like Mitch and I didn't really grow up with it too much, pretty much lower middle class for both of us. His family came from the USSR, communism. I love mentioning that. But pretty much because we came from a lower class background, that you kind of have more of a drive towards, working hard and making money than someone who's never really had to do it before. And, it's just kind of interesting to see how it kind of relates to everything else, like, like eating or, drinking water, for instance.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Because if you really think about it, what we do doesn't really necessarily spike your dopamine levels. People don't wake up in the morning, go on their laptop to read the news, read books, hop in calls with their business team or certain clients or manage their business. That doesn't really spike dopamine as much as, say, eating good food, going to the club, drinking, smoking, constantly traveling, having fun with your friends, doing all that. What we do doesn't spike your dopamine levels nearly as much as all that. And that is why it's a really long-term thing, because you get joy out of it. Not even the end goal, but the process in general. So it's like a long period of time that altogether brings you, say, metaphorically, a dopamine spike. But a lot of these people go out and they jack up their dopamine levels. And when it comes to actually getting serious and focusing on, say, their finances, they're not able to get excited for it. And if you're not able to get excited over something like business, because if you're going the corporate world route, I know a lot of people that are not excited working a 9-to-5 job. They still work it. They don't get excited to do it. But I'd say going the corporate route isn't nearly as hard as starting and growing a business to certain numbers, because when you grow a business, you're not really going down a path that was given to you. You're kind of just winging it. Yeah. I like to say when people are building businesses, they're pretty much winging it. Corporate world, you kind of know what you need to do because you get hired. Your employer tells you what you need to do. You have someone managing you. So you don't need to be excited, but you're still going to get paid the salary that you're promised. While in business, in order to succeed, you need to wake up and you need to be excited and you need to genuinely enjoy what you're doing, where you're headed. And you're not going to be able to do that if your dopamine levels are fried.
Yeah, and although we kind of have slightly different philosophies on this, I think we've discussed it before. But I personally think it's okay once in a while to, like get a little treat. For instance, like go out for a weekend or two, like maybe once a month. I think that's fine. But you can't be going out every single weekend because what ends up happening is it just wrecks your standards and your dopamine. And then, when you go and actually have to work, you don't enjoy it as much. And it's really about, it's really just comes down to moderation with everything. Everything comes down to moderation. Too much of any one thing can pretty much wreck you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But in terms of actually going out, go out occasionally. But I believe when someone is first starting to grow a business,
it shouldn't be.
they shouldn't be going out at all. They need to be, I believe that because that's what worked for us. We
Yep.
locked ourselves up and we literally just stare at a computer making things work. And until we got, until you get your business to a certain point, then slowly start
Yep.
going out. But if you see your numbers going down, that's a big red flag. It means you should start staying inside. So I'd say that's the one thing people need to cut down on activities, because if you keep doing activities that get your dopamine levels up, say drinking and smoking, your tolerance will go up. And at one point, you're going to need to do more of it in order to get the original feeling that you crave. And in a sense, chasing these activities, you're going to want to do more and more and more. And it's going to, keep frying up your dopamine levels, and you're going to be getting way farther away from, say you want to focus on your finances.
Yep.
Your chances will continue to decrease of success if you keep doing what you're doing, because you're going to do more of it.
So it's like if you get addicted to the right things.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
I
mean, too much of anything's bad. Like we do this 24/7. Like obviously it's not great for us mentally. But I mean, it's really good to get, kind of get addicted and kind of find joy in, healthy things. Like don't try and go out to the club. Don't try to go out to the club every evening, staying with friends and, if you have a lot of business friends, brainstorm. We do that all the time. Like we have a lot of friends in business, and we love, instead of going out, we love just having them over for like dinner or lunch and just talking to them and just like what's going on in the world, how the business are going, stuff like that.
We've gotten to the point where we get excited over a little chess match.
It's true. I mean, we have the chessboard right over there. We might play
literally right there. We might play. Emo and I used to hate. We'd want to go out. We'd want to. Especially in middle school, we'd always hang out with friends. Same in high school. But once kind of college hit, we stopped doing that. Our dopamine levels kind of came back to normal.
Yep.
I'd say in high school, my dopamine levels definitely got pretty jacked up. But once college hit, they slowly started going back to normal. And because I know I need to keep working on the business, I rarely get to go out with my friends, hang out. I start getting small dopamine spikes from stuff like this, or hopping in a YouTube video and watching some information-based video. Super nerdy, but it's what you got to do. And I'd say the second thing is people using their phones, especially first thing in the morning.
I agree with that. So, Mitch talks about this all the time, and I kind of got him into it. But for you that don't know, there's a little bit of a timer on your phone. I think we've talked about in previous videos. But pretty much what you can do is you can put a time for how much you want to look at your phone and what hours you want to be able to look at your phone. And this is really, really useful, because if you look at your phone first thing in the morning, when it's happening is like
something about serotonin levels.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the science, but search up serotonin and read about it, but it messes up your serotonin levels.
Yeah, I've read a couple articles on it, but I can't think of the science off the top of my head.
Not science majors, but it definitely does. And the first thing, because when you wake up, the way I like to think about it, I talk about this a lot, but our brain has 100 points. The second you go on your phone, go on Instagram, you swipe, that already kind of gives you a dopamine spike. You want to avoid dopamine spikes in the morning, because it kind of drains you of all the energy for the rest of the day. So first thing when you wake up in the morning, people go on their phone, they start scrolling and swiping, and that gives them dopamine spikes, messes up their serotonin levels, and then that gives them way less motivation to go on with the day. So something that Emiliano and I occasionally do is we'll wake up early morning, and before we do anything, we'll first spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours decking out the most important tasks that we have to do for the day.
Yeah, I think our focus definitely, or at least I see my focus definitely increase during that time. I take a shower, go downstairs, eat my cereal, and just start working. And that's pretty much how it goes. And I try to stay off electronics for like the first hour or two when I'm awake.
I also noticed the more that I sleep in, I wake up feeling
Dude, tell me about
angry,
it.
groggy. But when I wake up at 6 a.m. and I got 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I wake up as if it's 9 a.m., but it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, he just convinced me to actually do that. I've been waking up at 5:30 a.m. for the past 2 days. So I'm a little bit tired, and I'm adjusting over, but I definitely feel the difference.
Exactly. So dopamine levels, that.
Yeah.
People need to learn how to lock their phone away. That's what we just talked about, because if you don't learn how to completely lock your phone away and just not go on it, spend it the first 4 hours that you're awake, just don't go on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally we'll still do that. We're still guilty of that, but we're practicing. We
We
started doing it once a week, now twice a week. Now I think we're doing it 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
But at first it was super hard because we're on our phone a lot for business purposes too. That's something that we have to constantly deal with. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers the main 3 topics. So we have dopamine, staying off your phone, and finishing up the main tasks in the morning, because the key is to keep your dopamine levels down as much as possible, because you want to be able to proportionally redistribute them throughout the day.
Yeah, for where it's most optimizing for, productivity, if you can. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. We'll see you next video. Like, sub, all that good stuff. Tell us if our science is wrong or if you believe, we're right. Go for it, knock yourself out, and yeah,
Yes,
see you
sir.
next video.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.
Adios.